Hi, everybody. So welcome to our webinar on data integration in Gravity. I'm John Evian. I'm a training specialist here at ClearGov, and I am joined by Nick Langlois, who will be moderating the chat and Q&A. Of course, I will be looking from time to time in the chat window, but Nick will be the one answering any of your questions. We'll be covering everything related to data integration, including actually uploading files and what should appear when it happens. If there's any questions, either use the chat functionality on the right-hand side or the Q&A panel. After the webinar, we will be sending you a recording that will be posted on YouTube and the slide deck that I am using right now. So let's get started talking about getting your data into Gravity. We have one major objective today. All of you folks will know, having used Gravity, that we want to upload our data to Gravity so that we can continue to use the software, correct entries, and we can do this on a daily basis, an hourly basis. I have certain clients that do it weekly. But this webinar will empower you to utilize Gravity's data integration services. So let's get started with the data upload. The data upload is what we're going to be using inside of Gravity to get your trial balance or budgetary data into Gravity to be automated. I have a couple notes I want to talk about regarding the overall picture of data integration services in Gravity, because for those of you who have been with Gravity a long time, you will know that data integration services actually has changed its name. Or some of you might be new to Gravity and have different icons than what I'm going to be showing you today. So I want to address version history and why it's the way it is. This, of course, does not mean that you can't use data integration services. You still, of course, have access to upload your data anytime you want. But I will talk about the particularities of the different ways that Gravity has done data integration services in the past and presently. So at a glance, what we are doing with data integration services is taking your files, say a trial balance and budget data, maybe your journal entries. And if you're using Gravity for a budget book, it might be your revenue and expense reports. It could be your forecasted data, your proposed or adopted budget data. And this could take any number of forms. It could be one Excel file, it could be a CSV file, but we're taking multiple Excel files. And we're essentially translating these files into Gravity speak. And this is done, it's always in a CSV file, so hence why I've put it as a CSV in this guide. And then what is on the right, of course, I only have two entries here, but regardless of whether you're doing an ACFR, a PAFR, monthly, quarterly budget book, budget in brief in Gravity, all of these data points will look the same. We get a CSV file that will list off every single account or line that you are going to report on inside of your report. And of course, the naming of the columns will differ based on how you folks do your accounting structure where you work. But it might go account and then fund, cost center, object, fiscal year, and then it will have, say, your ending balance. Maybe we'll also include original amended budget and adopted budget. So what we're doing overall is taking all of your data, whether it's from one file or multiple files, and converting it into Gravity speak to automate. That's what data integration services does as an overall picture. This is done for you at implementation. So those of you who maybe are using Gravity for the first time, or perhaps you've weren't at your organization when implementing, this is something that's agreed upon as you're setting up Gravity. So that's important to know. Now, there are two different types of data integration services as part of Gravity. For those of you who've been with us for a couple years, you will see the icon on the left. It looks like a little tree icon, like a circle going to two squares. This used to be called ETL, which is the technical term for what we're doing. Now it is more beautifully called Data Integration Services. And then for those of you who are relatively new to Gravity, you will have the icon on the right side that looks like sort of these interconnected icons. Now, I have a couple of little fun facts about them just so you understand why they're different and why there's even different icons. The one on the left is written in a programming language called C#. Now, the thing that's really cool about it is that it's incredibly fast. It takes 5 seconds to load. Let's say you have 20,000 rows in your trial balance, as an example. It will take you 5 seconds to load that into Gravity and automatically map it all. The only downside is that it's a very strict protocol. So some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, and I will make it explicitly clear, will only affect those people who are using this icon of data integration services. For those of you who are newer to Gravity, as I said, these interlocking icons on the right, this is written in Python, which for those of you who are nerds like me will know that Python is a lot slower than C#. Now, by a lot slower, it's going to take you 60 seconds to upload 20,000 lines in your trial balance. Now, that's still pretty quick, but it's just important to note. And the reason why Gravity switched to this newer protocol was because we can actually do new and easier things to allow you to upload your data in an easier fashion. I will be explaining exactly what that means, this idea of a looser protocol, a bit later on. But just so you know, if you're on the left side, you're going to have to follow all instructions that are given to you exactly to the T. Whereas on the right side, you have a bit more leeway in how things are done. Now, before I upload data, I have just a little bit more to talk about regarding where your files are found and how you're going to utilize them. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask Nick in the chat box or the Q&A. Inside of your reports, whether it's a budget book, ACK for anything that you use Gravity to report on, you're going to have a folder called either administration or supporting documents. And within that, there will be a folder called ETL or data integration services. There you will find sample files, generally the ones that you provided at implementation. Why am I telling you where to find the sample files? This is important because if you're brand new to Gravity, let's say you're brand new to where you're working, you need to use Gravity, and you don't know where to get started to upload your new financials, I would go to your report, either ACK for budget book generally, go to administration folder, the data integration services folder, and see what files that they're utilizing. Generally, in most all cases, these are going to be reports downloaded directly from your accounting software or your ERP. So if you if one of you are in your environment now and you check that folder and you look at, say, the trial balance report, and you use Tyler Munis, you're going to see a spreadsheet that is just a report from Tyler. If you use, let's say Oracle, for instance. I don't know anyone who uses Oracle, but it would be a report directly from that ERP. There is no, generally you will not be building custom reports to upload to Gravity. More often than not, you are going to just be downloading directly from your ERP and then uploading them to Gravity. Now, what I'm going to do next is demonstrate how to upload data to Gravity and then show you what we're going to want to achieve when we know that it's successful. After that, we're going to talk about some errors that could happen inside of Gravity. regarding data integration services, and I'll explain what that means a bit sooner. But if there's any questions, please feel free to ask Nick there in the chat. So I'm going to hop here into our demo environment here, where we have this fictitious Texas Facilities Commissions. To start your upload to data integration services, you're going to want to click on Data in the blue ribbon of Gravity. And then you'll see here down at the bottom, Data Integration Services, Start Integration. I'm going to click on that. You're going to see here I have two of these icons. So for those of you, pop quiz, this is the old C# one. They don't build these anymore, but they obviously still work. Lots of clients that I work with every day use them, and they work perfectly for them. But if you're a new client, you will have this interlocking icon here. So I'm going to click on ACFR. So once you've selected the operation, and maybe I should back up a bit, you might have multiple operations inside of data integration services. If your only product or module that you have with Gravity is, say, your ACFR, you're only going to have an ACFR upload. But if you have budget book, budgeting suite, ACFR, monthly, quarterly, you might have 10 different operations. If this is the case, you're going to want to make sure that you are referencing the correct upload procedures. These are all found in the administration folder of their respective reports. So I'm going to be doing the ACFR upload. Generally, this will be either your chart of accounts, your, in some cases, you'll be your trial balance, and then your budgetary data. So I'm going to click here on ACFR. So we've selected the operation, aka the data you want to upload to Gravity and automate. Then we're going to select destination. We have file and data store. You should always pick data store, unless, of course, you want to test whether it's working or not. What file is used for is testing your data. I've never heard of anybody actually who's using Gravity test their data before uploading it. The data store has enough fail safes to make sure your data will not be corrupted. So click data store. So to recap, pick the operation, the data you want to upload, and then the destination you want to upload it to. So the data store in every instance. Now I can either click here to browse, or, whoops, I clicked on the wrong button there. I can just click and drag the, as you see now, my Outlook has decided to open. Or what I can do here, and we can see how handsome Nick is here. I just have my files here to load. I can just drag them and drop them in here. That's all you have to do before you click start. I want to mention one thing before I click start about new data integration services as part of Gravity. You're going to see that if I only upload one file, I can't even click start. I have to have a minimum of 2 files to upload. So I'm just going to make sure I have the trial balance in there. So I'm going to get the fund mapping file and the opening balance, copy that in there. And once this button here has white text, we can click start. And in the top right corner, we're going to see that the operation gets started. And if we hover over the notification center, we will see where we can track the progress of our data integration services. That is how we want to upload our data. It's very simple. All we have to do is select the correct files, load them into the correct operation, and click start. The next thing I want to talk about is the fail-safes that are part of data integration services. Because, of course, your data, you want your data to be secure inside of Gravity. There are multiple fail-safes built into Gravity to ensure that your data cannot be corrupted using data integration services. If you have any questions regarding data integration services, please ask in the chat box on the right-hand side or the Q&A box. So there are 4 major errors that are rather fail-safes that can happen when data integration services is happening. And I keep saying the word fail-safes. Why are we calling it a fail-safe? These errors here are not truly errors in the sense that something is broken. Rather, when one of these procedures happens, this means that data integration services will cease as to protect your data. Now I'm going to go through what all of these errors or fail-safes are doing, and then we're going to look at the solutions. So the first one, as we could see here, is different file name. This is a fairly easy one. Basically what is saying, and these are just random error codes that I've seen. So for this one here, this would be a budget book client. As you see here, this is our notification inbox. So ETL got started, process files to be processed to, and then it comes up with an error. Expected to have expenditure or revenue in the file name. Why is this a fail-safe? Essentially what Gravity is trying to do here is make sure you don't accidentally upload the wrong type of data to Gravity. Let's pretend, for instance, you have an ACFR and a budget book inside of Gravity, and you've selected the budget book data and you accidentally load in the trial balance. So your file would be called trial balance. If that were the case, and this failsafe were not here, it would replace all your budget data with your trial balance data, which would obviously be disastrous. So if the file, and when I'm saying file, I mean literally the Excel file that you are loading into Gravity does not have, in this case, expenditure or revenue in the name, Gravity will reject it on the grounds saying, we don't recognize this file, it doesn't have expenditure or revenue in the file name. So what we're going to do is stop the procedure to protect your data. One thing to note here, as I said before, your sample data files will be kept in the administration folder. For those of you who are using the C# or the older data integration service model, the name has to match, or rather the name and naming convention has to match exactly. Why is this the case? Because that protocol is very strict. If it doesn't see the entire name is the same, it will reject it. Just so it's perfectly clear, with the new protocol, you have a bit more flexibility. So if it was supposed to be revenue and expenditure report, and you just write revenue and expenditure, it's going to say, oh, we assume because it has revenue and expenditure that it's going to be loaded in. The next error that we're going to talk about is the wrong type of file type. This, when you are working with implementation, you're going to send them your data that you want to be uploading to Gravity to build your financial reports. In some cases, maybe when you're using your ERP, the reports come to you as an Excel file. Maybe they come to you as a CSV. This is the most common. I've even seen people who upload TXT, so old school text files for their data integration services. And it is crucial that you always upload the same type of file each and every time. If you do not, it will tell you that the specific destination type is not supported. So if I decide, let's pretend that you had downloaded your revenue reports. You're producing a budget book. You've downloaded your revenue reports and you converted them to an Excel file so that you could share them internally a little bit easier. And then you try to upload it to Gravity. What that's going to do is the Gravity is going to say, hey, we don't recognize this file. It is now an SLXX, not a CSV. So we're going to reject it on the basis that we don't recognize this file type. This happens in all instances. So if your standard report that you download from your ERP is a CSV, and this is confirmed in the administration folder inside of your report, I would always follow the file type convention. The third error is the statement structure, or rather the report structure. So we see here reading this error code. So it says, okay, great. ETL started, files to be processed 3. Great, files sent, perfect. And then it says an error occurred. The input file should have 25 columns. This happens to a lot of clients who have the older version of data integration services. As I said, that version of data integration services is very strict. So if your trial balance report, for instance, has 13 columns when you run it, and that's what's confirmed in the administration folder inside of your report, you need to have those 13 columns, the number, and the names. Super crucial that it's both the names and the number of columns. For those of you who are using the newer data integration services, this probably won't apply to you because why the Python version, aka the newer version, runs a little bit slower is it reads for specific names. So for instance, if you report amended budget in your ERP, but you don't publish an amended budget book, you only publish an adopted budget book, you might be polling your report and uploading it to Gravity, but it's only going to say, hey, we only need the adopted budget numbers. This is the type of book we're running. So even if you include your amended department request, anything you want in there, it's only going to take the data that it recognizes, aka the adopted figures and the account string associated with them. So if you get this error, all you need to do is verify that your file that you are uploading matches the file that you are utilizing, that you are given as a sample data file in your report. The last error, we've already foreshadowed with that example. Remember, I couldn't click that button when I only had the one file in there. You may or may not get an error. For those of you who are on the older system, you will get this error. If you were supposed to upload 2 files, your trial balance and your budget data, you're not just able to upload just your trial balance, even though your budget data isn't going to change every single day. In this case, you're going to have to upload those 2 files every single time. This is listed inside of the administration folder in your report, how many files you need to upload. And if you don't upload the correct number of files, you see here, so it says, okay, great. We've started the data integration services, 3 files sent, and then an error occurred. We expected 2 files, but we received 3. Essentially, it will tell you you have too many files or too few files. This is very easy to rectify. And I've only really seen this with people who are using the slightly older version of data integration services. The nice thing about the newer version of data integration services is it won't even let you click start if you have too few files. And because it will look through the data, if you upload 3 files, and let's pretend you upload your chart of accounts every single time, and your chart of accounts doesn't change, it's not going to matter because it's just going to validate the data. It's not going to change anything. It will just validate the data every single time you upload, say, your chart of accounts. So I'm going to now talk about what are the solutions to these problems. Now, I'm going to assume all of you are Excel wizards, and these solutions are very easy. So when you have a different file name, I guarantee you already know how to fix this. You just rename the file. It is as easy as that. The file naming convention will be found in the administration folder in your report. If you follow that naming convention, it will work. if you get that different file name error. Once again, not rocket science. If you have the incorrect file extension, so you upload a CSV when you're supposed to upload an SLSX, you just have to convert the file. So you would open up that file, save it as the desired file output. I'm going to make the assumption everybody here on this webinar knows exactly what's going on there. If you have a different file structure, so let's say one time I saw a client that decided to upload a comment column at the end of their trial balance. So, essentially account descriptions or comments on it. And their data integration services would not work because they had chosen to add a new column. All they had to do to change this was restore their file structure. So just either remove that column that you're not utilizing or make sure things are named correctly. But one thing I've noted a couple times already is that these files that you're uploading are 99 out of 100 times reports that are directly pulled from your accounting system. They're more often than not modified to fit in with Gravity. So all you have to do is pull them out of your accounting software and load them into Gravity. The last error that we can rectify, or failsafe rather, is upload the correct number of files. It's not rocket science. And these are indeed the most common errors that happen inside of Gravity. I will mention some when to contact support, but if you're getting any of the errors that I showed you today, you can actually fix it very quickly on your own terms. There's no need to email support and wait for them to get to the situation. It's super easy for you to to get past these fail safes on your own using these solutions here. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is upload history. For those of you who are using the older version of data integration services, you will not have access to this. With the move to Python, we were able to start creating an upload history. And I'll show you why that's useful, but this will only apply to people who are using the new version of data integration services. So I'm going to hop in here and show you here in a training report. Yes, sign in. What this version history data uploads looks like. So if I click on data and the blue ribbon of Gravity, data integration services, remember we had clicked start integration earlier, but beneath it we have see previous runs. If we click on that, we're going to see the various operations that are possible here. So if I go to budget book data file, for instance, we're going to see all of the different uploads that have happened here. And we see whether they've succeeded or if they've failed. So let's just click on one that was successful. So February 10th. We will see all of this ETL has been correctly done up here. ETL file processed, but we also see that we have a backup budget book data file. If I click on this, it will download it to my computer. Now, why is this important? There are two reasons why you would want to know about the See Previous Runs tab. The first is you can track when data was uploaded to your environment last. Let's pretend for your budget book data, you had done an upload in January and you were saying, oh man, I don't remember when we made these amendments to the budget book. There was a correction that needed to be made. Let's see if that correction got through. You could use the See Previous Runs to see when data was last uploaded. Lastly, you can also see when the data hasn't worked, when it has worked, which is also useful, but that the files at the top, the one that said backup budget book data, this is actually a way that if it ever happens that you log on to Gravity and your data isn't working, you could go to a previous upload. So let's pretend we had done upload February 10th and then your data doesn't work. We could go to this January 13th, download this backup budget book file, click on data, data store, and upload raw data. Now, I'm showing you the utmost contingency, and all of the clients that I've worked with at Gravity, I've seen exactly one person who's had to do this because there was an error with how the trial balance was uploaded. There was essentially the mistake was that they had accidentally uploaded an ending balance as the fiscal period. So instead of it being the year 2025, it was the year 1,446,000 or something like that. So a random error that occurred that we couldn't you wouldn't have known about. But now you know that where your backups for your data are found, and you can download them very easily. Click of a button. Then to restore any previous data, we could click on data, data store, upload raw data. And doing this will effectively instantaneously bring back a prior version of the data. You could, of course, do this if you knew that your February, using the dates in this example here, if your February 10th one had some wrong numbers in it, and instead of correcting stuff in the ERP and downloading it, just upload it to Gravity, you could always revert back to a past version very quickly using the C previous runs. So that is basically it regarding data integration services. And I just want to leave you with some tips on when to contact support. What this webinar has shown you is that the power to upload your data into Gravity is in your hands. You now know all the solutions to the common fail-safes, and if your data, as I've said, with everybody I've ever worked with here at ClearGov using the Gravity software, I've only seen it happen to one person because of a silly mistake. So there's only 2 times that you're going to have to contact support using data integration services. When the error code reads contact administrator. The administrator of your Gravity environment is Gravity. So if you ever upload data and it tells you, so you go to the notification center and you click on that little information icon and it says contact administrator, that's when you should email support at, I think the email address is still support@onegravity.com to get help with Gravity. The only other time that you're going to have to contact support is when your accounting software changes, or I guess also if you want to do a new upload. For those of you who are using Gravity's budgeting suite, if you want to say upload your step table and you want to make a new upload, you're going to have to contact support to get that process started. So what we've been able to do today is provide you with the skills to upload data, rectify any common errors, and review upload activity so that you can make your reports as quickly and transparently and accurately as possible. So thank you very much for attending today. Thank you so much, Nick, for piloting the chat. If you folks have any questions, I will be sending you a follow-up email by the end of the day today. I will stick around just for a bit to answer any questions that come in the chat or the Q&A if Nick has not already answered them. There is a survey that Nick has posted inside of the chat here to fill out if you liked today's webinar. And if you did, but you want to learn something else, you could also suggest future topics for webinars in Gravity. We will be having a webinar next week on introduction and basics. Now, if for those of you who are maybe on board, have new people, new hires working with you at your local governments or special districts, and you don't want to walk them through the ropes, Nick is the expert, and he will get you folks operating in no time with the Intro and Basics Getting Started webinar. I'll stick around just for a little bit to answer any questions that percolate in the chat. But if you have any specific questions, my email address and Nick's email address are here on this slide. I will be sending you a follow-up email with this recording by the end of the day today. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Okay, so I see that there is one question in the Q&A that hasn't been answered yet. Ted asks, if there's a data field in the MDFM not mapped during data integration services and the field remains empty, can data integration services be reconfigured to map that data field? Yes. And this is a perfect time to contact support. They'll just have to change what's going on. Oh, sorry, I didn't even see that there was, yeah, Nick's, sorry, I didn't see the answers there. Nick's already told you that. Thanks, Nick. You're very welcome, Jenny. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask any questions. I will stick around for a little bit yet to answer any questions. But if not, I hope everybody has a great day. And we'll see you hopefully at the next webinar next Wednesday at the same time. If you have any comments or any topics that you would like to see in future webinars, please feel free to use the survey link that Nick has posted inside of the chat and let us know how today's webinar was. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Ted, just before, will you be posting on? Yeah, we'll be posting it on YouTube for future viewing. Exactly. It may be moved in the future, but it will be on YouTube by the end of the day today. Anytime. Have a great day, everybody. Feel free to email Nick or me if you have any other questions. I will send up a follow-up email by the end of the day. Bye, everybody.